everybody, today we're going to continue our poetry unit by going over imagery. What is imagery? It's a way of describing something so that it appeals to our five senses. That's the way that we communicate with the world. We see, hear, touch, smell, and taste things, and imagery can also appeal to our feelings. Why? Because there's a big difference between crazy jacked up angry dog, yeah, super angry, and your new family dog. Without imagery or without vivid descriptions, a poet can't just describe a dog and make you understand what kind of dog they're describing. If it's a crazy jacked up angry dog, they need to say that. And if it's your new family dog, they need to describe it in such a way to make you feel like it's a new family dog. All other figurative language is used to create imagery. What does that mean? Well, similes, metaphors, personification, onomatopoeia, hyperbole, all those things we've already done are used to help create imagery, to those pictures in your mind that the poet wants you to actually develop so that you can imagine exactly what they're describing. Let's take a look at monkey or gorilla. Daydreaming gorilla. I think he's a gorilla. Brandon, gorilla? Sighed, the tree leaves were like cozy blankets. Our gorilla is daydreaming. I was wrapped in the warmth of the bright sun, and the clouds danced across the crystal blue skies. Then bam! Mom made me go to boarding school, and I have like a minute to squeeze in a quick shower and a banana every week. Oh, monkey. Well, what is he doing here? Monkey gorilla is daydreaming, and he's imagining what it was like living in, say, I don't know, the African forests, okay? He's using similes, metaphors, personification, onomatopoeia, and hyperbole to help us imagine exactly what he's imagining. So we have tree leaves like cozy blankets. That's our simile. He was wrapped in the warmth of the bright sun, and the clouds danced across the crystal blue sky. Clouds don't dance. That's personification. But we can picture it a lot better. It's a bright day with fluffy clouds. Then bam, there's our onomatopoeia. Mom made me go to boarding school, and I have like a minute to squeeze in a quick shower and a banana every week. Oh, a monkey, I think you're lying. You're probably exaggerating there. So that's how we use all of our figurative language that we learned so far to create imagery or pictures in our mind that help us to see, feel, hear, taste, and smell exactly what someone is describing, especially a poet. The other thing that poets may do is use a lot of adjectives or adverbs and figurative language to help us really relate to or connect with what's being described. The cold, bitter wind bit through my winter coat and sank its icicle teeth into my skin. That's a lot different than saying it was cold out. You're really describing it in such a way as to make the reader feel the actual cold that they're describing. What does imagery do? Very simply, it helps us to connect to the poet or to the poem through our sense of seeing, smell, taste, hear, and feeling, and what is being described by that poet. So we have sight imagery. The tiny red ant climbed up the broken twig. So you can picture a tiny red ant climbing up a broken twig instead of just an ant climbing up a tree. There's a big difference. Smell imagery. The sweet smell of freshly baked apple filled the air. It makes us imagine what it's like to be surrounded by that smell. One bite of the sour lemon caused my lips to pucker. You know what it's like to bite into a sour lemon. The car squeaked every time I hit a bump in the road. Sound and touch. The sharp edge of the paper cut my finger and made it sting. That's touch imagery. That makes you imagine what that paper cut feels like, and we all know what a paper cut feels like. So let's take a look at how this is used in poetry. At the Fish Houses by Elizabeth Bishop. Although it is a cold evening, down by one of the fish houses an old man sits netting. His net, in the gloaming almost invisible, a dark purple brown, and his shuttle worn and polished. The air smells so strong of codfish it makes one's nose run and one's eyes water. The 5 fish houses have steeply peaked roofs and narrow, pleated gangplanks slant up to storerooms in the gables for the wheelbarrows to be pushed up and down. All is silver. The heavy surface of the sea, swelling slowly as if considering spilling over, is opaque, but the silver of the benches, the lobster pots and masts, scattered among the wild jagged rocks, is of an apparent translucence, like the small old buildings with an emerald moss growing on their shorewood walls. We saw a lot in this poem, but let's look specifically at our imagery again. So do you feel it? Do you feel what it's like to be cold and damp on the shore? Okay, that's a different kind of cold than it is to be in snow cold. It's damp, it's cold, you're right by the water. How about smell it? The air smells so strong of codfish it makes one's nose run and one's eyes water. Fish. Think of that. Think of the smell of it. Imagine smelling it so so heavily inside your nose and in your eyes that your eyes are watering, and you can actually taste it in your mouth. Ew. Then we have some see it imagery, some visual imagery. Can you picture these things? That's the author's purpose. The peaked roofs, all of that silver imagery right here. You see it? The heavy surface of the sea is silver. You have silver benches. Okay, so all of these things help us to visualize or develops visual imagery so we can relate to what the author is saying. Now, what might you be asked to do in relation to imagery? Well, you might be asked, how does imagery help to create the mood? Well, think about imagery. Is the imagery being used soothing, somber, gloomy? That's the mood. How does imagery help to develop a theme? Very simple here. Does it create images or elicit feelings about a certain situation like death, love, friendship, or betrayal? And then after you figure that out, do these feelings remind you of a life lesson? We did death imagery in Scarlet Ibis, so this one should stand out to you. How does imagery help to develop a character or narrator? This one is very interesting. Are we given descriptions of a character that we can picture so that we can get a visual of what he might look like? Is imagery used in such a way as to make us love or hate a character or narrator? Or is it used to help to connect with a character or to give us hints about a character's motivations? Interesting stuff. How does imagery help us to understand the poet's feelings about a topic? Well, are their chosen words positive or negative? Is it negative imagery? Because they feel negatively about that topic then. Are the descriptions positive or negative? If it's negative, they probably feel negatively about that character. Now you know. This was very easy stuff, imagery. All those things you picture or can connect with through your senses. So what are you going to do? Let's get quizzical. That's it, everybody. Go complete imagery pre-quiz, and I'll see y'all in class.